Happy King Day, y'all. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Okay. And I just think it's so befitting that as we are celebrating, the Martin Luther King, that we finally get down to the bottom of who exactly is the Queen of Potomac. Okay. So we're going to figure that out today. Who is the real Queen of Potomac, of the Potomac River, or of the Potomac, the township? Of or just maybe Maryland in general. I mean, because according to Gizelle and Robyn, it's definitely faux show Charrisse Jordan. Okay. So we gonna figure it out. I, however, am the king of my couch. Okay. And so we are gonna do our review as though we just watched the episode. Okay, how about that? So thank you guys for being in the chatterization today. Happy Martin Luther King Day to everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for being here. I know it's your day off, maybe for some of y'all, and you still are here with us today. And for those of you guys who are in other countries, thank you and welcome. And hopefully you can get some Martin Luther King history outside of what we're going to talk about today. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and stage dive into our rating of the episode, y'all. Let's get into our rating for this episode, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, what are we giving episode 7? Season 7, episode 14, Shakeups and Makeups. What are we rating it? I'm gonna need y'all to rate it down into that chatterization. I'm gonna give this episode a 9, because we finally got a little bit of context for what is going on with Karen and Charrisse. Okay, we finally get some context for that. We get a little bit of resolve with the Mia and Jacqueline situation, or at least we finally know why Jacqueline said what she said to Mia last week when they got into their little argumentation. Also, we got a very big resolve from Ashley and Candiace, for which, let me tell you, I'm half of this 9 is given to the way Candiace so eloquently delivered her rationale for her issues, or Ashley's issues with her, okay, in such a calm, succinct, and gracious manner, for which we had not seen the likes of before. And it just goes to show you the level of maturity, okay, with finesse. You know what I'm saying? It was such a, and she encapsulated the moment perfectly. Perfectly. Like there was nothing else that could be said. And for them to move forward, it was a gracious read. Okay. It was a gracious read. All right. And I just felt like, wow. Wow. This was a moment. Okay. This was a moment. I love seeing Wendy also trying to pitch in to help Candiace and Ashley resolve their issues. And so we also got a further I don't know, it seemed like it furthered the demise of Wendy and Mia. I didn't expect them to go at it this episode, but here we are. All right. So let's talk about everything in general. For those of you guys who are not aware, we're going to be introducing some key elements, and I need to pull them up really quickly. And also, I apologize for my tardiness today. I had some technical issues getting set up here, so my apologies for that. Let me make sure that I pull up something here. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to make sure I have this queued up for you guys when it's time. Okay. Make sure I pull up these receipts for y'all when it's time to do so. Meanwhile, we got a super chat. Bruce says, happy MLK Day. 9 because of the geriatric fight and Candiace's maturity of the situation with Ashley. Hashtag fan favorite. Okay. And it kind of feels like Candiace is becoming the fan favorite this season. I mean, she's definitely making a lot of sense. I just, yeah, I do feel like she's becoming a fan favorite. Um, Gadget, Gadget Girl 99 DS says, I am liking the new Candiace. I am as well. Thank you for that super chat. All right, so let's get into this episode. Charrisse and Karen are still going at it. You know, Candiace actually has to stand up and hold Karen back. I mean, they screaming and banging, breaking glass, you know, tap, 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 rat, tat, tat, tat on the table, you know, and hands are just a going, okay? Hands are going, and we banging on tables, banging, 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 banging. Okay, hands is going. I wish you would. I wish you would. I wish somebody would too. Either that or y'all. I ain't gonna even say that. But what I will say is, listen. I need some clarity at this point in time. Okay, and we're about to get it. So apparently, this topic of Karen's mom's funeral has been a sore subject for her for a while now, obviously for obvious reasons, right? And so what we learn is if you watch Karen's YouTube channel and the episode last night, you will learn that Charrisse attended the funeral and Karen and her family kind of wondered why she did that because they had not really, you know, I guess maybe spoken according to Karen, or they wasn't really that cool. And so for Karen, it was like, okay, well, you know, we're going to give her some grace because if she doesn't try to make this into a TV moment, then we'll know it was genuine. But then we get a flashback of Karen saying, well, or of Charrisse attempting to have a conversation with Karen about it during season 5 at Candiace's 1-year anniversary party. You guys may recall that Charrisse had shown up, but it was Monique that had an issue with Charrisse being there at the time. We didn't know it was Karen as well. And so at that point, Karen says in her YouTube channel, she says Charrisse tried to bring up the subject with her twice. She was like, I don't know if they will show or if it will air. And then we did get a little bit of it last night in the flashback. But she also said that there was yet another time that Charrisse tried to bring up this topic. And so that is the reason why she felt like Charrisse was not genuine with her attending her mom's funeral, because she would really later bring it up on camera as a way to kind of say that Karen was not being a good friend to her. Okay. Niece 1234 says, I rate this a 9. I feel like Karen will never admit to anything. Karen talk ish on everyone, but you can't take it back. I feel that Mia is not a friend. She looked like a duck. Oh, well, you know, I mean, I can't talk about the woman's looks. But thank you for that super chat. And we'll see. We'll see how things turn out. Fiji Rated says, hey, Richie, I saw you on Funky's recently restored IG page, and it warmed my heart seeing some of my favorites together. That is like my little brother right there, and I just love him to death. Frenchie LaBelle says, Candiace came off to me as a brat in the past. She has grown so much, she deserves first chair as well. I do agree with you on that. Okay. All right. Now, Charrisse says that she brought it up to Karen. She brought the funeral up to Karen because it was to show that Karen had not been a good friend to her. So Robyn says that Karen has been lying this entire time by trying to make it seem as though she was not just not interested in a friendship, but that now she actually has a reason for not being friends with Charrisse. So Karen says that Charrisse is breaking up families or whatever. Before we get into that, ER 1219 says clarity is definitely needed. There must have been a lot of unseen footage because Karen is looking crazy with these outbursts and disdain for Charrisse and Robyn. And again, this is why I was like, I need clarity because I didn't understand. But it has taken me seeing Karen's YouTube page and then listening to bits of this episode to kind of piece it all together. And that to me is where the storytelling kind of falls a little short, because if I need all these outside factors to really understand the story, then we are not telling the story correctly or in the best way, shape, or form. And so for that, I also have to blame the editors. You got to give us every little bit of tea and details in order for us to understand it, because otherwise, and it could be Karen not accurately describing what it is that she has an issue with Charrisse in the beginning, because had she said so in the beginning, we probably wouldn't have been at this point that we are at right now. But my general sense is that maybe Karen was not trying to go into this issue about her mother. So maybe she was, instead trying to like just avoid Charrisse versus having to get into a real ponderosa about it, because I can assume rationally so that having to speak about the passing of one's mother is probably not the most pleasant thing to do, and you don't want to have to go there, right? So but I gotta touch on the idea of loss with these two women in just a little bit, because that's going to come back full circle. And we gotta really touch on the delicacies, well, not the delicacies, but being delicate, I should say, when it comes to grieving and loss of loved ones, because they both have lost. Okay. And that to me is what ultimately makes this whole situation between the two of them so very sad. But we'll continue to get that when we get there. Now, at this point in time, Karen says Charrisse is breaking up families. I'm not necessarily sure who she's talking about. Was she talking about the issues that Charrisse had with Monique, or was she talking about, something else? That's what I don't know about. So Charrisse claims that Karen had gone to rehab, okay, and that on Instagram she called her a drunk, okay, and in Carlos King's interview with Charrisse, she said that Karen was known as the black drunk lady around Potomac. Now, Charrisse also claims that Karen had gone to rehab and her girls went down to Florida, where she was in rehab, to get her out. And then that very same night that they got her out, Karen went out and partied after leaving the rehab, allegedly. Let me put up this alleged badge, okay? Let me put up this alleged badge. All right, now, oof, oof. Um, I did not anticipate this to come out on the show, although Gizelle had alluded to it when she did her interview with Robyn and Carlos King. She did allude to some things coming out about Karen that she felt like she would talk about after the episode aired. So I'm assuming that there's going to be more dialogue about this conversation. I think the rehab thing, I'm a little bit turned off by. Um, in the same way that I felt like when Karen and Gizelle went at it with the hot box thing and then the sing sing, I felt like Karen redoubled backwards on the sing sing it later in interviews and even that night, because I think she might have realized that the sing sing thing was going too far. And I think that maybe that was a line for the two of them that maybe they had decided that they would not cross with each other, because we really didn't hear anything else about that from either one of them, except for maybe like a denial from Gizelle. Um, did I like it when that was said? Not really, but I also feel like we didn't get context on that or clarity. She didn't clarify. She kind of tiptoed and backtracked on that on Watch What Happens Live. Now, with regards to this rehab thing, Charrisse did no backpedaling, no punani popping. She just came out with it, okay, and then said that the woman went to party right afterwards. That wasn't all that she said, okay. She also alluded to Karen allegedly running around and sleeping with a married man, okay. It was a lot. Okay. It was a lot. Simply Shamar, thank you for that super chat. I appreciate you. Okay. I appreciate you very much. Um now This is a similar situation to what we talked. It's not similar, but it reminds me of the situation with Kiki on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And we're talking about like if somebody goes to rehab for addiction, I don't know that going to rehab is an insult that you really want to use for some. I don't know. I don't know. It just gets too deep for me at this point because I feel like is to use rehab an insult, or is it more on the line that you guys find unsavory? Y'all let me know in the chat. I'm a little bit conflicted about it because I do feel like there is nothing wrong with the person who has an issue and who goes to rehab and gets their issues fixed. It's to me, we have issues in our personal lives, we go to therapy. You know what I'm saying? We might go to the church, we might go to the house of the Lord, we might go see the pastor, we might go to confession. So I guess in my mind, when people use like mental issues or like addiction against someone, I guess I just feel to a certain degree, particularly when that person has tried to work through those issues. I felt like they treated this a little bit different on Love and Marriage Huntsville, the reunion, particularly when talking about how, solemn a topic it is. And I don't know, it ain't funny. Okay. That's my thing. It don't ever feel funny when we go there. That's it. That's it for me. It does not feel funny. Neither insult feels funny. It just feels like we just went to a new place. Period. Okay. Um, that's I had to literally walk through that with y'all to really figure out how I feel. And it again, we are looking to be entertained. We are looking for reads and shade, but there is a place where it goes where it doesn't necessarily feel funny. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's probably subjective for every person. Um, and that's just how I feel. It didn't feel funny to me. It's not a line I want to repeat. Okay. Think about the moments from that we've gotten from Nene in the past where, she says something and it's just like, where did you get that from? And you end up repeating it, but this felt very low vibrational play. You know what I'm saying? I would never let nobody put that on my plate. You know what I'm saying? That's how this felt to me. It was very it felt very low vibrational. I feel low vibrational even talking about it, to be quite honest with you. But and what I mean by that is using it as an insult. JMW says, I don't understand Charrisse, Robyn, or Gizelle. What's the problem that y'all have with Karen? Is it because she's the number one fan favorite? That is a very good question. Simply Shamar says, I think Gizelle is doing a Phaedra minion move where she is using other people, Charrisse and Robyn, to do her dirty work. Charrisse is trying to get her flute back, Robyn trying to keep it, so they're going low. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like, but it's just like, because Gizelle can really sit back and say, well, I didn't say that. It was Charrisse that said it. Tracy Campbell says Charrisse said they were not friends before the show. They fell out season 1 and went at it at the reunion in season 2. Charrisse keeps trying to come back. That is why I believe she would use the funeral as a way to come back. I mean, that's given what it looks like, Tracy, and I appreciate that super chat. That's given what it looks like to me, right? So it does feel kind of like how Karen is saying it, and it's like you can't for these women to try to make Charrisse and Karen be friends. It's like Gizelle, you ain't checking for Wendy under any circumstances. So what's tea, sis? At the end of the day, what's tea? A. Horton says Charrisse attacking Karen for rehab calls back to the problems with season 1. Antiquated etiquette rules meant to look down on people. Boom. Okay. Boom. Thank you for that super chat. All right. All of this means for some reason that Karen cannot go to Safeway. How did we get there? Well, I mean, how did we get here? What are we going to Safeway for? Karen, you should probably be having your groceries delivered, okay? I don't know if I want to see Karen Huger running through the grocery store, okay? It might be funny, but I just don't know why I don't see Karen, running through the grocery store. Can you picture Karen running through Winn-Dixie? Can y'all picture that? Karen Huger just tipping through the Winn-Dixie. I just can't see it. And that was my other question. Is Safeway still around? Okay. Are we gonna do? I mean, is Karen running around the Wawa, the Sheets? Where did that come from? Tiana, you missed a big chunk of the conversation. I said it. It wasn't cool then. It's not cool now. Okay? There's no interesting here. I said both of them felt low and vibrational. Okay? Both of them. We literally talked through that. How you miss it? How you miss it, boo? Anyway, this is what sometimes the thing that bothers me. I love doing this because I can talk to y'all, but sometimes you can say something and people will completely miss everything you said because I don't know why. But let me let you know, we said it. The sing, I felt like she backtracked because she knew it was wrong. Similar to this situation, the rehab thing, and Charrisse kept going with it. Both of them feel low vibrational. Okay, low vibrational plates. All right, it is what it is. I'm gonna call a thing a thing. Let's call it. Let's call it. All right. All right. So the group surmises that maybe some progress was made. I don't know how. Deuce Esquire says, but why does Karen have to like Charrisse? She was trying her best not to go there with her all season. That's kind of what I missed. Anyway, now the question becomes, can Jacqueline and Mia make up? Jacqueline accurately says this: I would like to handle that in the private. Okay. I would like to handle that in private. That's how you should handle things between the two of them. They need to have a quiet ponderosa. 30 minutes later, everybody at the bar, let's groove tonight. Okay. Dancing to Drive Back. Okay. Drive Back at the bar. Meanwhile, Jacqueline and Mia go to have a chat. Jacqueline feels like it was unacceptable that Mia said she didn't have any friends, and she felt like Mia was insinuating that Jacqueline slept with Gordon. I don't know how she heard that. That ain't what Mia said, but for some reason, that's what Jacqueline heard. Now, Mia wants Jacqueline to own that, girl, yes, you do sleep with married men, allegedly. But Mia is not elaborating on who those married men are, okay? So Jacqueline says that, well, Mia, you slept with Gordon when he was married. So you sleeping with the married men too, okay? And Mia says, I sure did, but at least I own mine. I was like, well, oh, I guess she did kind of own it. I'm stumped. Okay. So then Mia indicates that Jacqueline slept with multiple married men, and then she walks off. And Jacqueline says, I am done with you. Okay, done. All right, so the group the next day splits up into two factions. There's Team Poolside with Candiace and Karen. Candiace wants to know how Karen is going to move forward with Charrisse. Karen does not recall banging on the table. I guess maybe that's what happens when you're banging and you're banging and you're banging. You probably just bang yourself into not remembering things. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Sometimes when people say they get into the heat of the moment, they black out. Maybe she blacked out in that moment. I don't know, but she did bang on the table. I mean, the hands was definitely going. Everybody was doom, 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 doom. And so, but what she does feel like is last night, okay, Charrisse proved that she was not genuine when she came to the funeral, okay, because she brought it up again. Now, Ashley, Gizelle, and Mia are doing some intimate, yoga on the beach, all right? Now, I don't know what this is supposed to be, but all I know is they was writhing on that ground and stuff like that, just writhing. And I think it was supposed to be something, that you work yourself up intimately. I don't know. But it is what it is. So at the end of the yogas, Robyn and Charrisse join, followed by Karen and Candiace. Um Robyn and Candiace. And so Charrisse is going off about how fake Karen is, and she does not want to go to a Mexican prison. Okay. Now I can definitely tell you, not from personal experience, but I have definitely heard about people that end up in the prisons down to the Mexico. And I definitely think that is not a place where you want to be, Charrisse, because they will definitely I feel like they might try to take your money, okay, for you to get out, okay. And if you got a coin and they know it and they see you a part of a TV show and they get you down there, they're gonna take your money, okay. That's just what I heard from several friends that have been arrested down there, okay. So have your coins ready. Let's not get arrested down to the Mexico, Miss Charrisse. Thank you very much, okay. Thank you, Carolyn O'Neill, for the super chat. I appreciate you. All right, let them know. Let them know, Nora. Let them know. All right. Meanwhile, the ladies board the van for the cenote. If y'all recall, we did a cenote on Portia's Family Matters. It didn't work then, okay? And I don't think it's going to work now. It's supposed to provide peace and love and light and stuff like that, but it's really just giving mosquitoes, possible parasites, bugs, and possible drowning, okay? Anyway, it's time for Lunchables. And Ashley wants to know, is everybody in a good space? So Robyn says there's some pockets of people that need healing. But Karen wants to really know how Ashley and Candiace are doing. So Karen asks Ashley, do you regret bringing Deborah to the show? Okay. And Ashley is like, well, no, because I would want to know. You know what I'm saying? Why am I wearing a crown? Because we are talking about who is the Queen of Potomac. It is also Martin Luther King Day. And so we are celebrating kings and queens by wearing the crown, Miss Charmaine. You got queen in your name. So we celebrating you too, boo. Okay. Now, Ashley feels like she would want to know, all right, if her man was cheating, because of all the things that's going on in the past. And Candiace says, oh my God, if I could have saved that moment and replayed it on here for y'all, I mean, there is no way, okay, that I can accurately describe the moment and the feeling of listening to Candiace so eloquently state that she feels like Ashley is projecting Ashley's own issues and insecurities about the situations that she's experienced in her marriage onto Candiace. And it's not fair for her to do that, okay? And ultimately, what she wants for Ashley is to not have a toxic relationship and to have the relationship that she so deserves and never has to question. Baby, this crown right here might have to go to Candiace for that right there. That to me was it is a moment in Housewives history that I will always remember, because it was like literally seeing someone let the air out of a balloon that has been ready to pop for so long. And it just was like, it not only the way she did it, it also allowed Ashley to take off her boxing gloves and to take a step back and to receive what, not only how she was being seen, but the love that Candiace and graciousness that Candiace was wanting for her own life. Wow. I was floored. It was such an amazing moment. A. Horton says, I feel like Candiace low-key put but politely said Ashley was low vibrational and that message was for a few people at the table, the Green Eye Bandits. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Conscious Boo says, yes, Candiace, sometimes no read is a read. Boom. Okay. She disarmed her with gentle truth. Say that again. She disarmed her with gentle truth. And wow, that to me takes it's that's elegance and restraint right there. I got to give it to her. I got to give it to her. And to see her come from where I feel like she's came from and to get to this point and know when and how to read, um she channeled that intelligence into, again, a gentle truth that was probably a better read than anything else anyone has delivered in a very long time on a show like this. Boom. Um, so Ashley does end up apologizing. If bringing Deborah felt harmful, it was harmful. Okay. Um, it didn't feel to me like Deborah had any good intentions in that moment. Candiace feels like they keep getting to a good place, and Ashley continues to sabotage them from moving forward. So she doesn't feel like any is this genuine, you know? And Wendy then interjects and says, y'all have a good time when y'all are together. If y'all could just leave the past in the past, y'all can move forward. So they decide to just let it live and ultimately move forward. It was so nice to see. They head back to the table, and Charrisse ends up talking to Ashley and says that Karen sent her only a one line of text when her father passed. And what I saw online was that Karen ended up actually posting the actual text message that she sent to Charrisse when her father passed. And so it says something to the effect of, Charrisse, my family and I want to extend our condolences on the passing of your father. Know that God is in charge and he is at rest. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. When time permits, I would like to the address where flowers are being received. If there is a charity you would like us to donate in memory of, please advise. Again, both you and our family are in our thoughts and prayers. Love, Karen. And so Charisse's response was, thank you, Karen. Your kindness and thoughtful words mean a lot during this difficult time. So the receipts tell a little bit of a different story. And when I posted this on my Instagram yesterday, there were a couple of people in the chat who said, well, maybe Charrisse didn't remember and felt like that moment was only one line of text. Because truth be told, when grief hits you, it slaps you around very, very hard for a very long time. And so could her memory have been fuzzy? Potentially. But I do feel like when you are arguing this hard and to make a point that hard for the message that you weren't there for me as a good friend when I was going through something, you really do have to take a little bit of ownership of going back and seeing, am I correct in this? Can I prove this in a text message? You know what I'm saying? And because the burden of proof then lies upon you to prove that this person was indeed not there for you. And so the text message shows that maybe it wasn't what Charrisse ultimately wanted, but it was what Karen gave her. And if what Karen gave her was not enough, then say that. But you can't say that it was just one line of text because it wasn't. So we got to be clear about what it is that you expect. And this is in any relationship, really. And I feel like this is a great sociological aspect of friendships within certain groups of people, particularly this friendship group here, is that if Charrisse had a different expectation of how Karen should have been there for her during her time period, you have to be able to accurately describe that to your friends, if indeed you have a friendship. You know what I'm saying? So it would be just like in real life. Our friends don't always meet our expectations, but it is up to us to let our friends know, hey, you didn't meet this expectation of mine, and not months or a year later, but it has to be then, right? So I thought this was very interesting. But the fact of the matter is, we are still, the story is still about both of these women and their grief over the loss of loved ones, which ultimately, even though the byproduct is a beef on a television show, the actual subject, when we really think about it, is quite sad because we're talking about two women who are, as we all are getting to this age where family members begin to transition and family members begin to move on. And ultimately, it's sad for me when I really think about it after losing one of my best friends. It's like, dang, like, there's a much bigger thing at play here, and that is a story of loss. It's hard. It's hard. It is very hard. And there's very little level of rationale that comes into play when you lose a loved one. It kind of goes out the window. And so that is why I'm trying to be lenient on both of the ladies to a certain degree, because the deeper story here is the loss for both of them. It really is. Um, So at dinner, Ashley asked Robyn about the wedding. Wendy asked, when is it? So after a little bit of hemming and hawing, Robyn reveals that she doesn't know if she wants a wedding and doesn't know if she needs it. But she does reveal that they are getting married a day after her brother-in-law does in Jamaica. Now, the reactions are hilarious. And Ashley says it's official, and Mia and the girls want to throw Robyn a bachelorette party. I wrestled with this in my head last night. Does Robyn owe us or the girls an explanation about when her marriage is? And I struggle with it because on a certain level, yes, and on a certain level, no. But I think for the majority of it, it feels like yes, because this has been a storyline that's been playing out on the show for years. How dare you not show this wedding? How dare you not give us, the completion of a story arc that you've had since you've been on the show? How dare you rob the audience of a moment that you have been talking about for ages, that's been the subject of multiple plot points of yours? How dare you give us this whole thing about, this what you call it, the whole marital agreement and the whole idea of a prenup, and not give us the actual wedding? And how dare the network then uh put Kenya more on pause for not showing her wedding, but not give the same energy to Robyn for allegedly not wanting to show hers either. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, you got to keep that same energy across the board. You've agreed to live out your life in a certain degree on a reality TV show. And again, if she were an everyday person, it's none of our business. But because we have seen a precedent for, hey, you don't show us, and then so now you're on pause, then it's got to be the same energy kept all around the board, I would have to say, right? And other also too, when we really think about it, if this were indeed for real, wouldn't she already be married at this point? Because this trip happened in June. Ashley's birthday is in June. So for me, if the wedding was coming up that quickly as she had expressed to the guy that was doing their suits, wouldn't the wedding have already happened, and shouldn't she already be married? The timeline is not making sense to me. Bruce says, I'm still failing to realize what Charisse's relevance to the show. We left her back in season 2. Robyn's wedding equals February. Thank you for that super chat. I'm just trying to put the pieces together and really understand. Simply Shamar says she may feel once the wedding thing is finalized, one way or other, she has no more storyline, hence her dragging this out. But I mean, it could be more story because she's at that point at least married. You know what I'm saying? And that has been the will they or won't they for the past several years. You got to complete that story, boo. And your relevance on the show is really dependent on how interesting you are and what you have going on. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's not making sense to me. Whitney says, I can't wait to see what Robyn says about this one lawsuit. Um, yeah, that lawsuit thing is, it's one of those things I didn't even, I don't know, man. That's a difficult one, you know. Thank you for that super chat. So I'm just trying to understand, you know, what's going on, you know, with this whole situation. For real, for real. What is the truth? So anyway, Gizelle wants to talk about Karen and Charrisse, and she felt like Charrisse's character was assassinated, and she does not know Charrisse to be a family destroyer, and for her to call, and then she also called Charrisse a peacemaker. And if there was a real Queen of Potomac, it would be Charrisse. My thought on this situation is, while that may be true, okay, while it may be true that Charrisse put together this group, the ultimate truth and reality of the situation is that she was let go. I mean, we cannot we cannot deny. At the end of the day, she was let go. So in terms of her being the Queen of Potomac, I mean, somebody said it in my, you know, in my comments yesterday. She was actually the coordinator. Okay, she was the coordinator of the group. All right, she coordinated putting the group together. She put the group together. So we'll give her props for that. But she didn't add Karen, as Karen so emphatically tells her. And she also admits that she did not invite Karen because she says she did not know Karen. Okay. But we'll get to that in a second. Drusilla says the marriage license expires in February. I mean, you know, come on now. Like, is it, but you know, has there been movement? Has it happened? What's T? And if the marriage license expires in February, we know they're not filming right now. They're filming the reunion on the 19th, which is in what, 3 days? So unless she's gonna do a real quick fast in a hurry, let's get married, you know, real quick in the next 3 days. Girl, what's up? What's up? Meanwhile, Robyn interjects that Karen is mad that Charrisse put the group together, and she sees Karen for who she is. We see you, which is a bull esser, okay, who dances around the truth. And one day, everyone will see her for who she is, and to just say whatever her reason was for not wanting to have Charrisse around. Let me address 3 things real quick. I do not think Karen is mad that Charrisse is one who put the group together. Who would be mad about that? At the end of the day, Karen is still on the show getting a check from the show. So why would she be mad at Charrisse about that? Number 2, let's address a couple of things. It is actually Gizelle who created the title of the Grand Dame, if I'm not mistaken. So it is technically Gizelle who gave her that title and named her that. So if you want to take it back at this point, Gizelle, just say you want to take it back. You're the one who gave her that title. It wasn't Karen herself. It was you. And then the next thing that I want to address is, if Robyn is so adamant that everyone will see who Karen finally is, what that tells me is that they don't like that Karen is, for whatever reason, for whatever shortcomings that Karen may have, she is a fan favorite. And the reason why she is a fan favorite is because you guys tend to make her a fan favorite by continuously ganging up on her, because that never works out for any cast who does that. Every time a cast gangs up on one person, all that does is that makes that one person the hero to the fans, because we can see the gang up and the pile on happening season after season after season after season. So if you don't want her to be the fan favorite, then I suggest you stop giving her so much of your energy. All right. Then so Karen at that point apologizes to the group, but Robyn is like, you're going to apologize to everybody else, but not Charrisse. Now this triggers Candiace, because Mia also apologized to everybody, but did not apologize to Wendy. Okay. So this prompts Mia and Wendy to go at it, which I'm kind of surprised by, because one other thing that I do want to state in that whole Charrisse and Karen situation is that Charrisse addresses losing relatives, and she does address putting the group together. And Charrisse indicates that she didn't even know Karen before Karen tried to, I guess, sit at a table of hers at a gala or whatever, and somebody had to tell her who Karen was. And I guess that's when she found out that Karen was allegedly the black drunk lady that ran around Potomac. So I do want to address that, and we've already addressed the subject that these two ladies have both lost relatives, which is very serious, and to me the bigger story. But I digress. We're going to continue to argue about who is the Queen of Potomac, and it really doesn't matter. Anyway, Mia and Wendy. So at first, Mia is like, well, I'm not sorry to her. Okay. Wendy says, even though you assaulted me, and Mia insinuates that there was some defamation of character because Wendy allegedly insinuated that G was gay because she said that Mia and G slept with men and women. Wendy says, well, I never called him gay. You took that from what I said, because if you guys are telling us you do threesomes, then you are sleeping potentially with men and women. That does not necessarily mean that G is the one sleeping with the men, but there might have been a man involved. Okay. So Mia says she came to Wendy about Peter, about what Peter was saying about her like a friend. Wendy tells her, girl, you don't know how to be a friend. You can't even be a friend to your friend of 20 plus years. Okay. Wendy then says that Peter doesn't even like you. Okay. And is mad because you slept with Peter's girlfriend. And Mia then says, well, I slept with Peter's girlfriend before Peter did. So technically, she was my girlfriend. I was like, what is happening here? What is happening here? Where am I? Where is Peter Thomas? Okay. Wouldn't you need him? Where is Peter? Where is Peter? All right. So anyway, I noticed that Karen had moved seats to the other side because she probably thought they was about to fight again. Okay. Wendy ends up calling Mia a gutter bee. Okay. And Candiace, yet in another shining moment, tries to convince Mia that she needs to apologize. And Mia kind of does, sort of. But it really didn't solve anything because I don't know if she really meant it with the insides. So Mia gets up to walk away, and they continue to go at who is obsessed with who. Now, Wendy, in this instance, I think she kind of won this one because she was able to really kind of push Mia's buttons to the point where Mia was running off, and Wendy is just sitting there chuckling, okay, to herself. All right. They really are quite a duo. It'll be interesting to see how they will come together next week. Speaking of next week, all right, Karen reveals that Juan is allegedly messing with a blonde-haired girl down in the Georgetown, and Robyn allegedly has photos of Karen with a man with blue eyes down to the Vegas. Okay. That's what I'm waiting to see. Next week is about to be the truth of the truth of the matter. Okay, the absolute truth. Okay, or a bunch of lies. So we'll just wait and see what happens. But that was the Real Housewives of Potomac review. Y'all let me know who is the real queen of Potomac after watching this episode. Is it Karen, also known as the Grande Dame? Is it Charrisse, aka the coordinator? Okay. Is it the blonde girl down to the Georgetown? Or is it Peter Thomas's girlfriend? Y'all let me know in that chatterization.